I am again thankful to all news media outlets for letting me use their contents. I greatly appreciate that. I am available 24/7 if they need any assistance. Now go to the headlines. Hi and very warm welcome at Amir Shackle 5858. I am Amir Shackle. Following news headlines have been reported by world major English news channels and news agencies. So please watch it.
Tonight, we may be done with winter, but winter is not yet done with us. Fierce snow slamming the Midwest tonight. Millions under blizzard warnings as whiteout conditions all but obscure the roads. Semi-trucks strewn across an interstate in Nebraska. The dust storm that choked the skies in New Mexico and now mixing into the system. And why Chicago could see severe storms and then intense snow. Our team in the field and Al Roker tracking it for us. Court clash, threats of impeachment, standoffs with judges, the Trump administration at odds with federal judges as they halt parts of their dramatic overhaul of the federal government. He was questioned for days, and now the last man believed to have seen a missing college student alive leaves the Dominican Republic. Our in-depth report, 250,000 women go through treatments like IVF every year. What our analysis finds about the nightmare scenarios some couples face on their journey to parenthood. How deep cuts to the federal workforce are impacting veterans in small towns across the country. The major change coming soon to Social Security for new and existing recipients, the new ID requirements, and why there is concern about the impact. And there's good news tonight about one Broadway star defying gravity and inspiring so many fans along the way.
This AI tool is better than Ideogram. You can create unlimited AI images with accurate text, hands and fingers for a one-time cost. No recurring fees, ever.
Here with reaction, one of our favorite senators, Louisiana Senator John Kennedy. Senator, I don't know, I'm looking at this and I'm thinking that Chuck's days may be numbered, just like Jimmy Kimmel.
Sean, I don't hate anybody. That includes Senator Schumer. He's very smart. On the other hand, Chuck's often wrong. He never makes the same mistake twice. He makes it 5 or 6 times just to be sure. But this time he got it right in supporting our efforts to keep government open. Unless a football coach taught you history, you understand that shutting government down never achieves anything. It just scares people, especially the elderly. Having said that, many Democrats are angry at Schumer. Among them right now, we've all seen the news, he's about as popular as chlamydia. But that to me says as much about the Democratic Party as it does about Senator Schumer. What it tells me is that the loon wing of the Democratic Party is firmly in control. Now that's great for the Republican Party, but it's bad for America. These people are deeply weird. For example, no honest person whose IQ is above his age doesn't believe that biological sex doesn't exist, but they do. That's what I mean when I say they're deeply weird. Our Republican secret plan for dealing with the Democrats is called Operation Let Them Speak. But that's good for our party, but it's bad for America. And I think Schumer did the right thing.
You know, I've never been as afraid of government shutdowns because it always ends the same way. They end up opening the government, and people that do get furloughed end up getting, a paid vacation in the end, paid leave, and we never
Tonight, breaking news as we come on the air, the storm hitting multiple states, cars and trucks going off highways, and this is all moving east. Also tonight, police swarm CIA headquarters, the man with a gun. First tonight, whiteout conditions, strong winds and fires across multiple states, blinding snow causing accidents on major highways, winds gusting up to 70 miles per hour, and the system moving into the northeast. Lee Goldberg standing by with the forecast. Also tonight, police surrounding CIA headquarters, SWAT teams responding. Police say a man with a gun, the standoff lasting several hours. Pierre Thomas and what he's learned at this hour. Tonight, President Trump had the call with President Zelensky, what Zelensky has now agreed to. And President Trump today with an unexpected offer to Zelensky. James Longman in the region tonight. Tonight, the Defense Department igniting a firestorm after pulling a webpage dedicated to baseball icon Jackie Robinson. Why was the page taken down? And what's happened now? Tonight, the JFK assassination files released. More than 60,000 documents shedding light on surveillance and on what some in the Kennedy administration felt about the CIA. Tonight, Matt Gupton one-on-one with the new Los Angeles DA. What the DA says Lyle and Eric Menendez must do to secure any chance at freedom. Overseas tonight, Israel launching a major offensive in Gaza. What does this mean for the hostages still being held by Hamas, including in America? 24 hours after the splashdown you saw live right here on ABC. Tonight, astronauts Butch Wilmore and Sonny Williams, the first full day back, adjusting to gravity. What they went through today. And so many tonight talking about the Dolphins who welcomed them home. And amid his deeply personal battle, Bruce Willis turning 70 today. Tonight here you'll see the video, the dancing, the moments with his family, marking the milestone. From ABC News World Headquarters in New York, this is World News Tonight.
On this Wednesday night, Canadians executed in China after being sentenced to death. The reaction?
We're strongly condemn what happened.
What we know about the cases and the message it sends to Canadians traveling in China. Trump says he'd prefer to work with a Liberal government in Canada, while the Conservative leader is trying to capitalize on that. Americans siding with Canada.
There's no justification for these tariffs.
The U.S. citizens angry over Trump's trade war. And throne theft, the 18-karat golden toilet stolen from a palace. How police had something to go on to flush out the criminals.
Global National with Donna Freeman. Morris, one of the 200 France 24 correspondents around the world.
Hello, you're watching Daybreak on France 24. I'm Karis Garland. It's good to have you with us. Here's a look at our headlines. The Israeli military says it seized control of the Netzarim corridor that divides the north and south of the Gaza Strip, part of what Israel's calling a limited ground operation. Meanwhile, there are reports of multiple Palestinians dead in airstrikes early this Thursday. As the number of Ukrainian casualties mounts, members of the country's military bands consider themselves lucky to be out of harm's way most of the time, but constantly attending your colleagues' funerals every single working day can hardly be considered an easy job. We'll bring you a special report from our correspondent on the ground. And the International Olympic Committee is set to elect its next president this Thursday as Thomas Bach steps down following a 12-year reign. The leadership race is set to go down to the wire. Also coming up this hour, France's Ubisoft is releasing its Assassin's Creed Shadows video game this Thursday. The developers banking on the game's success as it grapples with falling revenue, a sinking stock price, and takeover speculation. Plus, Finland has again been crowned the world's happiest country by the World Happiness Report for the 8th year in a row. This is the United States, drops to its lowest ever position.
This is Asia Now.
It's 12 p.m. in Singapore and Hong Kong, 9:30 New Delhi, and 11 o'clock in Jakarta. I'm Ronnie Samtani. At this hour, Israel launches its first ground offensive on Gaza since the ceasefire collapsed. Troops recapture a key corridor dividing the enclave's north and south. Ukraine agrees to a partial energy and infrastructure ceasefire with Russia, but how it will be implemented remains a work in progress. And Japan marks 30 years since a nerve gas attack on Tokyo's subway. It killed more than a dozen people and injured thousands of others. Today, the federal government vows to slash the cost of PBS medicines to no more than $25 if re-elected. The Ukrainian president hails a phone call with Donald Trump as substantive and positive. Weeks after that, say they're being lied to about the quality of food at for-profit childcare centres across the country. And the unemployment rate holds steady at 4.1% in February, despite few people in work or looking for a job. Hello and welcome to ABC News. I'm Ross Childs. The Prime Minister has guaranteed the future of the funds.
Africa News. Tuesday's meeting between the leaders of Rwanda and the Democratic Republic of Congo in Qatar rekindled hopes for a resolution to the war. Congo after several months of trading hostile barbs. The Party of Congo's president believes the momentum lies with Kinshasa.
D'abord, il faut reconnaître que le M23 n'a jamais été.
First of all, we have to recognize that the M23 has never been in favor of peace, because on several occasions they have been offered the hand of peace, but they have never accepted it, whether at the meetings of the presidents of the Southern African Development Community, the East African Community, or the ECAS. But today, this ceasefire has been imposed on them, not only by the African authorities, but also and above all by Resolution 2773 of the United Nations Security Council. And to that we can add the sanctions that have been imposed on them by the United States and Europe.
Non seulement des États-Unis d'Amérique, mais aussi de l'Europe.
On Monday, the EU announced sanctions against Rwanda, a rare occurrence. But whether these incentives can force Kigali into concessions remains to be seen. Non-government organizations from 5 African countries have filed corruption accusations against Lisson Bolloré, claiming the French billionaire irregularly won concessions to run African ports. Bolloré Africa Logistics operated 16 ports as well as warehouses across the continent before being sold to MSC Shipping Group for $6 billion in 2022. The organizations from Togo, Guinea, Ghana, Ivory Coast, and Cameroon united under a coalition dubbed Rest of Africa and the Spiders.
Mali, Faso, and Niger are once again united in challenging France. On Tuesday, Mali followed Burkina Faso and Niger's lead, announcing its withdrawal from
10 o'clock, this is Sky News at 10, our top story.
Did you kill them?
No comments.
The teenage murderer who wanted to be the UK's deadliest school shooter, today sentenced to at least 49 years behind bars for killing his family. In Ukraine and in Russia, a ceasefire broken, but Donald Trump insists negotiations to end the war are on track. The United Nations staff member is killed and a British aid worker is seriously injured in an explosion in Gaza. The cubs of the caliphate will go inside a detention camp for ISIS families in northern Syria. Plus, the Russian spy ship today escorted out of UK waters after being spotted off the coast of Norfolk. And we'll take a first look at tomorrow's front pages in our press preview from 10:30 right through to midnight. Good evening. Nicholas Prosper wanted to become a notorious mass murderer. Over the course of a year, he plotted to kill more than 30 4- and 5-year-olds at his former primary school. He bought a shotgun with a forged license. He chose the day, Friday the 13th, and his outfit, black and yellow, carefully. Then, when his mother tried to stop him, he shot her in the head, then killed his brother and his sister. He was arrested by chance on his way to the school in what senior detectives described as a sliding doors moment. Today, he was jailed for life with a minimum term of 49 years. It's our national correspondent, Pumps.
Okay, not to say anything, but it might have been offensive. They didn't know it, but the officers who arrested this teenager had prevented a school massacre.
It's not murder.
Yes. It's not murder, Nicholas Prosper said, but he had just shot dead 3 members of his own family. He'd practiced at home how he would kill. He'd researched and planned every detail and was on his way to his old primary school in Luton, targeting 4- and 5-year-old children.
His ambition was most definitely notoriety and to be known as being responsible for the biggest school shooting that's ever been on record.
Did you kill them?
No comments.
He refused to answer questions, but later told a prison nurse precisely what he'd intended to do. He also wrote down his plans and noted, "My effing mother messed it up." He'd planned to shoot his mum, Juliana Falcon, while she slept in the family's 8th floor flat. He also wrote down his plans and noted, "My effing mother messed it up." He'd planned to shoot his mum, Juliana Falcon, while she slept in the family's 8th floor flat. But she was awake and interrupted him. She saw the shotgun he had in his room. In the violent struggle that followed, he shot her dead, along with his sister Giselle, who was 13, and his brother Kyle, aged 16. A neighbour heard it all and called 999.
Hiya, sorry, I'm a bit rattled. Upstairs, just gone up to knock on the door, sorry. I had a massive bang, sounded like a gunshot.
It disrupted his plan and made him leave the flats 3 hours before the school would open. In that time, he was arrested by a police patrol. The judge sentenced him to a minimum term of 49 years in prison.
You have also expressed no remorse and no sorrow. Indeed, when asked by the psychiatrist if you would try to commit another massacre, you replied, "Well, that's their job, to stop me getting the weapons if I get released." There is no suggestion that you didn't understand the law or that killing people is morally wrong. You just didn't care.
Inside court, his father was in tears. A senior police officer read a statement on his behalf.
He had completely isolated himself from us over the past year, and we had no knowledge of his intentions.
He was described here as truly evil and lacking in any remorse or empathy.
Good good morning. Bolstering British defences in a time of tension.
Barrow and Furness to become a blueprint for defence spending to boost communities across the country.
Well, that's after the Prime Minister joined a Vanguard submarine crew to thank them for their silent service.
Does a government loophole mean criminals can evade justice by changing their gender? Well, a new report urges the NHS and police to stop prioritising gender over sex.
President Trump and Zelensky have patched up their differences in a phone call as the White House promises a peace deal for Ukraine is very much on track. But is the Kremlin singing from the same hymn sheet?
A whiskey for the King and Queen as they return to Northern Ireland for their latest royal tour.
In a royal boost for the armed forces, as the Prince of Wales makes his first visit to Estonia to show support for the troops fending off Russian aggression.
And in sport this morning, well, Sebastian Coe could become one of the most powerful men in sport later today. The guarantees are in life, death, taxes, and Emma Raducanu firing a coach again. And Scotty Scheffler, 2025 Masters Champion dinner menu has been revealed.
It's a chilly start out there for many of us, but it's likely to be the warmest day of the year so far by the afternoon. How high will the temperatures get? I'll have the full details in the forecast coming up soon.
It's just gone 6 o'clock. I'm Stephen Dixon.
I'm Ellie Costello, and this is GB News Breakfast.
Thank you very much for giving time to Amir Shackle 5858. I am Amir Shackle. Have a good life. Bye-bye.